Hey everyone, and welcome back to my Completionist playthrough of the Baldur's Gate Saga with SCS. And now that we are back on the surface and in Athkatla, there is so much to do, so many things for us to take care of. But before we get to any of that, let's do those level ups. Because of course at the end of chapter 5 we got a lot of experience, and also through our fights with the drow and whatnot. And now Senashir already has over 3 million experience points and is going to become a level 18 mage. They grow up so fast, don't they? But anyway, this is going to be a major level up for her, because she is going to get access to level 9 spells, the final level. She's also going to get access to some high level abilities, and also gets a proficiency point. And when it comes to that proficiency point, I am going to put it into short swords, because this is always going to be our offhand weapon type on Senashira. And this is going to give her a +2 Thaco and +1 damage on that offhand attack, and we're not going to go any further with it. And this is also a better point spent here than onto 2 weapon style, because this one would only give her the +2 Thaco bonus onto that weapon, offhand weapon attack, and no damage bonuses. And there's also this dagger proficiency point, where the second point, the specialization here, would give us some bonuses and also half of an attack per round. But the thing is with her that, that dagger option is her ranged option, but she basically never needs to resort to that kind of thing, and now especially, since she is going to get a phenomenal upgrade very shortly, she is going to be even more committed to delivering melee attacks, and as a Kensai mage, she can pretty much always reach her targets, because normally in situations where you would want to switch to a ranged option, for example, like setting up a kill zone somewhere with some cloud spells going on and whatnot, like some firestorms, some webs, Senashira, through her mage spells and protections, can just stand right in the middle of all that and be unaffected and keep delivering her melee damage. And also as a mage, she only gets a proficiency point every 6 levels, so this is not often enough to start up anything else new on her, and she is not going to need like anything else besides what she's going to get very soon. So perhaps in the future, we're at level 25, we're going to give that second point here into dagger, or maybe the third point into weapon style, we'll see. But anyway, now it's time to briefly talk about the mage high level abilities. First off, there's this path of 3 here, these 3 passive abilities that grant us additional spell memorization slots for level 6, 7, and 8. And I think we're going to go down that path on Senashira first, just to delay some of these more powerful spells on her. And also, a lot of these high-level ability spells actually are not going to fit Senashira that well, and she's going to make use of her level 9 memorization slots onto something else. But anyway, mages also have access to energy blades. Then there's improved alacrity, which for 2 rounds gives you aura cleanse, which means that you're not going to be bound by the limitation of 1 spell per round. So you can basically unleash a barrage of spells one after another, especially if they have a short cast time over the course of those 2 rounds. A very popular combo is to cast Time Stop and then improved alacrity, and when you are in complete safety, when no one can do anything, you just unleash a ton of spells with a short casting time, especially if you have items that improve your spellcasting speed. But, this is not really something for Senashira. Senashira is not that type of character. Next we're going to talk about Dragon's Breath and Comet kind of together, because they are very similar spells in the fact that they are both fire based AoE spells with a cast time of 3, and they are both party friendly. So those are all nice, but there are some key differences between them. Generally, the clear winner is going to be Dragon's Breath, but one thing that Comet does better is that it stuns opponents when they fail their saving throw, whereas Dragon's Breath knocks them back, which is in most cases a worse type of effect. However, when it comes to the damage it delivers, Dragon's Breath is always going to win, because it has a 20 d10 damage range, some from 20 to 200. And this is subject to a saving throw that can cut this damage in half, but when it comes to Comet, it has no save when it comes to damage, but it always just peaks at 10 d10. So with Dragon's Breath, sometimes when they will fail their saving throw, you can do 20 d10, and even if they do make their saving throw, it's going to be the same damage as Comet can deliver. And the most important difference between the two is the fact that Dragon's Breath bypasses magic resistance, whereas Comet does not. And of course it's not explicitly stated here, but that's how they work. So just that one part of it alone makes Dragon's Breath way better than Comet. And of course it has the potential of dealing more damage. And then finally we have Summon Planetar, and this one is Dark Planetar for the evil mages. And the Planetar is kind of like an upgrade to the Deva, although not entirely, because the Deva has, of course, that improved Mace of Disruption that can instantly kill undead. But generally, Planetar is kind of like a higher tier version of a celestial being. It has slightly better stats than the Deva, primarily in the fact that it has 3 attacks per round instead of the 2 that the Deva has. It has slightly more magic resistance, and the primary difference is that it has a much larger assortment of spells, both arcane spells and divine spells. And those are really good spells too. Like it has, or she has, I guess, Firestorm, Earthquake, True Seeing, Insect Plague, and all of these spells she can unleash instantly. And on top of that, she wields a Vorpal weapon that has 25% chance of instantly killing opponents that are not immune to that kind of an instant death effect. So this is just an insanely good, this is the best summon that we can have access to in the whole game. And this might be something that Senashira is going to get at some point. But anyway, that's it for now when it comes to Senashira. We're going to rearrange her spells when we're about to rest. Now Anomen is going to be level 23. Get some more spell slots. And now for his second high-level ability, I am going to choose Storm of Vengeance, completely having in mind some upcoming fights where I am going to allow myself to cast this one. It's going to be very effective for what we're about to face. Now, Kiranai also right now has over 3 million experience, but this level up for level 23 Thief happens at 2.8 million, so she is not going to get access to high-level abilities just yet, and this is going to come at level 24 for her. So here we can just max out her set traps and get some more stealth. And this is going to allow her to basically de-equip this Mercy Killer ring and equip her a little bit differently, especially once she gets access to that use any item. But for now we can give her this regen ring, re-equip Anomen, and I think also we're going to give the regen ring to Jaheira. And yeah, now when it comes to her thief skills, she has maximum set traps and she has very good stealth, and that we're going to keep pumping up. So later on, when we get some more boots of speed, we're going to be able to, you know, get rid of these boots of stealth permanently, and it's going to be fine. And finally, Imoen is going to be level 16 in Mage and get some saving throws, increases, and primarily access to level 8 spells now. So finally, all of our mages have access to level 8. She has a better, well, a little larger spell selection than Edwin, and I think first we are going to rearrange our spells anyway soon, but first I think I am going to memorize some Horrid Wiltings on her, just in having in mind some upcoming encounters where we're going to change Edwin's selection a little bit, but basically on Imoen I am going to showcase some more spells of level 8, like for example Big B's Clenched Fist, although this is not a very good spell. And I think we're going to mostly focus on like Incendiary Cloud on Imoen, whereas Edwin is going to focus on Horrid Wiltings, but just for some upcoming encounters, Imoen is going to have Horrid Wiltings and Edwin is going to present some Symbol Stun goodness, I think. But anyway, now that we have all that done, I also wanted to showcase this Adamantine Dust, which is what happens when you expose a drow item to the light of day. We can just get rid of that. Here we have that Elven Holy Water that you can equip in your quick slot and throw that at undead and deal some damage to them. But there are also going to be some other situational uses for that. And now we can do a certain fight, because we sense there is a fight upcoming.
What is it? It will be
there's going to be kind of an ambush by the Githyanki. And I am going to use some mage pre-buffs here. As you remember, the Cald Wizards, of course, try to punish everyone that wants to cast spells outdoors in Athkatla without a license. But I think this actually resets in Chapter 6. So I think we are going to get a warning again, because I think we got one warning in Chapters 2 and 3, right? So, and even if not, this first group of Cald Wizards, even if they appear already hostile and trying to like kill us or apprehend us or whatever, we should be able to deal with them quite easily with our remove magics and whatnot. But I do want to pre-buff against these Githyanki using some arcane spells. So we're going to see. Actually, this spirit armor is not even going to be useful on Senashira because we are going to use something else special. So I think when it comes to Edwin, you don't need to do anything of that nature. We are going to buff up Senashira with the last chaotic commands that we have. And I know that we're pretty fatigued, especially after this additional travel to Athkatla, so that's why I don't want to take any chances. And, alright, Jaheira doesn't have any more iron skins.
What is it?
I am going to cast Stone Skin just in case, but we are going to make use in that encounter of our Boots of Etherealness again, because these Githyanki that are going to attack us actually only wield normal two-handed swords, so this etherealness effect, immunity to normal weapons, this is going to be quite useful for 5 rounds, but then of course later on we might need that stone skin. And let's see what the Cald Wizards have in store for us here.
Declare yourself.
Yeah, he just gives us a warning here. So we are going to be able to cast some more arcane spells for a couple of hours. Every time the Cald Wizards show up as a result of you casting spells, there's going to be a couple of hours of downtime before they show up again. So here we are going to be able to cast our arcane spells, and I kind of want to cast some offensive spells once we do encounter these Githyanki. So do we need to do anything else?
I shall go forth at your command.
I don't think so. I think we're just going to proceed. And this ambush happens in almost every district of Athkatla that you go to, but I like fighting them the most here in the docks, because they are going to spawn somewhere over here, and I think some of them spawn further down this lower path. And basically, you know, there's not only the innocent bystanders, there's not that many of them as with some of the other districts where they can ambush you, but also the terrain here is mostly open and flat, whereas, for example, if you go to the slums and they ambush you there, some of them spawn. If you remember the Copper Coronet, if you want to go upstairs and get onto the roof of it, the staircases are kind of on the sides, and they sometimes spawn on these upper condygnations of the Copper Coronet, so it's kind of a bit of a mess when it comes to trying to get to them. So this here location I like the most for encountering them. Where are you? Alright, here's Kruin, and he's actually a pretty funny guy. Aha! It is the wielder, the thief, and the defiler, all in one being. Strange. I thought there would be 3. You there, have you no twin sisters? So what do you want, Githyanki? A question with a question. I see her mind is far deeper than I expected. Layers and layers of duplicity and deceit. I must be subtle with this one. Perhaps I should start again before she gets suspicious. Yes, I think this would be best. You there, human woman. My freedom from Limbo has a price. I must track down the thief of one of our most holy of holies. Actually, Limbo is the home plane of the Githzerai, not necessarily Githyanki, but he was imprisoned in Limbo and got free, I guess, on account of you know, being sent to retrieve, of course, that silver blade that we have in our possession. That's why he mentions the Holy of Holies. We can respond with, you know, I heard you the first time. You did? Really? You know, being a wild mage isn't all it's cracked up to be. My mentor always said, see the spoon, but I only saw frogs. And yeah, he is a wild mage. So now, I've been very patient because you are a lesser being. I'm trying not to overwhelm you with my psionics just by accident. See how nice I am? So, hand over the silver sword blade and we'll all be happy. Well, maybe you won't be happy, but you won't be dead, and that's got to be better, right? So are you going to hand over the sacred blade or not? And we will not. It is mine now. I did say I was a wild mage, right? If I end up having to cast a spell here, I won't be held responsible for it. So hand over the blade, or do I start casting? Do your worst. Yeesh, I wouldn't say that. My worst can be pretty bad. And I think his companions, I think they are going to spawn to the southwest. So we're going to visit them in a second. First we need to apply our immunity to normal weapons. and here when it comes to this guy, we're going to spread out a little bit. And yeah, he has some protections. He only has Minor Globe, actually. Shadow Door, Stone Skin. Improved Chaos Shield is a Wild Mage spell, and that helps to reduce the negative effects of Wild Surges. Actually, what we are going to do is cast ourselves some True Seeing. This is going to be also useful for the other guys that they have with them, because they are generally going to have mirror images and blur, I think. But here he doesn't have any physical protections that would make him immune to our attacks. So let's just try to cut through his stuff here. As you can see, that Fire-Tooth Dagger leaves a nice trail when it flies to the target. Alright, so Remove Magic hit us. We didn't really have too many pre-buffs, and it seems like it was ineffective, although I think it might have dispelled that ethereal status. So we are just going to, I think, go with some... Well, maybe not already, but we are going to reapply some mirror images on Senashira. Alright, and I think we're going to pull some more of these guys here. Yeah, there they are. There's a couple of types of them. They differ a little bit when it comes to their stats. There are Knights, there's Gish, there's Captain, and there's also one Anti-Paladin with them. But anyway, we are going to have Edwin come here with us. Yeah, there's also that Anti-Paladin and Warlock with them. Let's actually try to pull them a little bit closer here. Yeah, they do use some stuff, and I would like to reapply these mirror images. Alright, there we go. Our True Seeing should dispel them their mirror images soon. And what we're going to do is finally take advantage of some of our spells that we have at our disposal that don't have to bypass magic resistance to be successful. So we're going to wait for that dispel here. I'm going to try to attack them, and unfortunately Kruin had a spell trigger with Spell Deflection, Spell Shield, and Protection from Magical Weapons. And I think what we're going to do in this situation, as this would involve too many dispels, we're just going to switch to our normal weapons here and try to destroy him with those. Alright, let's pull him on back a little bit. Okay, she doesn't have any protections left. Actually, what we might do is just try and throw a little Remove Magic onto the other guys, although they did get their mirror images dispelled now. So let's have a nice little Horrid Wilting on them. They should be pretty susceptible to that. Of course, they use some of their psionic abilities onto Senashira, and she did get her Chaotic Commands dispelled now, so she might get trapped into this psionic maze for a couple of rounds. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, first we need to finally get rid of Kruin here. Alright, what else can we offer them? There are no bystanders here, so we might kind of risk it a little bit with this delayed blast fireball, but Senashira doesn't have any fire protections on her. We are going to wait with Imwen for a little bit here to perhaps unleash some... maybe this Emotion Hopelessness onto them. Edwin, where are you? Why are you so far away? Right, also I think since Senashira is close, we are going to aid our other guys in cutting through this guy's stone skin that he just reapplied. Alright, and let's get that Horrid Wilting going. Let's try that. Whoa! We got hit by some nasty stuff here. We need to get Senashira out of there and try to reapply some protections, I think, before we get back to business. Alright, and Kruin is dead, so we can change to our magical weapons here. And we should be, well, in the clear to some extent. Right, they have that kind of a planar travel teleport just like the Illithids, so they are going to teleport closer to us. Right, Edwin is still casting that Horrid Wilting. He did not get interrupted yet, but he might get just in a second. Alright, that Horrid Wilting is going to fly here, and let's try to pull these guys over to the place where it's going to land. Alright, and it did some damage, at least to that Warlock. And yeah, to the Gish, to the Knight. Even though they saved, Horrid Wilting deals like really good magic-based damage. So we were able to apply some pressure onto them. But now we need to take care of Edwin here. Let's try and reapply Stone Skins onto him. And we have to remember that Imoen does not have any protections available to her. So let's get her out of trouble by making her invisible and just going away. And she's not going to reveal herself in this fight anymore. Or now. Alright, now we just need to keep healing with Senashira, not to get into any dangerous situations, and just kind of bring this fight home. Let's see here. We have an injured guy, barely injured. Let's focus our attention onto the injured guy. It's also, I think that the spell comes from the Anti-Paladin. That's a class that the Tactics mod, for example, I think allows you to have. This is basically a class that has that Dispel magic on hit. So the Anti-Paladins are really nasty, and that's how Senashira got her Chaotic Commands dispelled, I think, and her other protections. That's why she got kind of destroyed once she went over onto the stairs to pull the other guys. And they were able to dispel Edwin. So actually, let's get rid of this Anti-Paladin first. Alright, I think, yeah, Senashira took care of the other guy. Let's try to risk it a little bit, put her closer to that Anti-Paladin. Alright, everything's fine. Now we can just do some cleanup. And Edwin really doesn't have anything on him. We could make him invisible, but I think we can just run. And he should be fine. Yeah. Alright, so this was a little messier than it usually is. But, yeah, we're fine. Let's loot Kruin first, because he has the other part of the silver sword. He has the hilt, and now we are going to be able to craft that weapon for ourselves. And the rest of them we can just loot like this.
Speak. Yes, quickly and precisely.
Alright, so as you can see, they only have non-magical two-handed swords. I should have pre-buffed a little bit more, and I should have been a little bit more careful around that Anti-Paladin, but that's fine. And I think before we do anything else, we are going to first take care of some business at our fighter stronghold, actually. To put some events in motion, we should have another quest, another part of the quest line available at the Arnis hold. And after we do it, of course, the timer for the next event is going to start, and then we're going to have some time to take care of some other business. Alright, so let's teleport in. I think this should be the Maid and her two suitors.
Rest would be welcome, lest we endanger ourselves.
Yeah, we have a quest here. So yeah, there's this maid, Chanel. She has been a maid here most of her life. She was an orphan, and the Diarnis family took her in as a servant when she was young. As Lady of the Keep, you are technically her guardian. Ordinarily, that would not be a problem, but there are two men who desire her hand in marriage. It is up to you, my lady, to give her away and decide which of the men has her blessing, or has your blessing for the marriage. Alright, so let's bring them all in. Chanel. Yeah, so Jessup here, the third Jessup in the saga. If you remember, one of the Jessups is the companion of Theodan when we were back in Candlekeep in Baldur's Gate 1, and the other one is in Entar Silvershield's manor, and is related to the NPC project when you recruit Ski. But here is the third Jessup. he has been courting me for some time. He's a ranger from the local forests, and Malvolio is a landowner from over in the Roanoke lands. Whoa, so that is already a bad sign. Malvolio, your chances dwindle by the minute. Malvolio too has been courting me, although I can't say that I'm all that interested. She is not interested in all of his wealth, apparently. I am a man of affluence, my lady. Yeah, she is a good woman. She follows her heart instead of materialistic desires, I guess. But anyway, Malvolio here continues. I am a man of affluence. I can care very well for Chanel's needs, and she will have nothing to worry about for her future. The same cannot be said for this lout Jessup. He is a drunk and a fool. On top of that, he is a penniless pauper. No doubt he wishes to marry Chanel only to gain access to your coin. What? How dare you say that? I love Chanel. I have loved her far longer than you. And she doesn't even want you, you slubbering pig. But I have no need of a dowry from the lady here. In fact, I am willing to offer her 500 gold pieces as a gift to show how much I am willing to take care of our Chanel. Yeah, the dowry was promised by Lord Dionysus to Chanel. I don't expect you to keep his promise, but I was hoping you would. It would make a world of difference to Jessup and I. Yeah, that was his promise. There's no need for the dowry when it comes to Malvolio. And besides, she would be miserable with that drunkard. I'm not a drunkard, Malvolio. Stop saying that. Well, you do drink quite a lot, Jessup. Anyway, so of course, the good way, I guess, is to go with Chanel's desires. Whatever mistakes or perhaps correct choices, it's up to her. If she has chosen Jessup, then let that be it. We're of course not going to give her away to some Roanoke landowner. Yeah, so she is going to be very happy, and of course we're going to give her give them the 500 gold for a nice new start in life. You're so generous. We can build a home. So for 500 gold, apparently you can build a home and have a really great start to your married life. And we have like 150,000 gold now. So, but yeah, there are going to be some expensive purchases that we need to do soon. And speaking of some expenses, let's actually go upstairs and see how much money we have accumulated from the taxes in the time when we were gone, during our absence. Let's see, what do we have here? Well, 2,000, not too bad.
What is it?
Alright, and now we can go back to Athkatla and finally get down to business. Because before we get to some other adventures that await us in Chapter 6, we need to get ourselves equipped. And this is going to come from two sources. And these two things really work well together. But let's get back to the docks first. And we might be... okay, we're not ambushed. There is a special ambush in Chapter 6 that can occur in the wilderness outside. But anyway, first we're going to go to Cromwell. And basically, actually, well, we are very fatigued, so we should probably not risk it. But yeah, this is going to be perfect. In nighttime, there should be no bystanders, no innocents around here in the docks, and I really like to do these things together. Because of course, first we're going to get equipped by crafting some items here with Cromwell, and the second part is that Cowled Wizard's plan that, if you remember from like many episodes back, I had a plan, of course, of purposefully not buying the license from them, and now whenever we cast a spell outdoors in Athkatla, they are going to teleport in with some increasingly difficult groups of Cowled Wizards, being hostile right away and to, you know, kill us or apprehend us or whatever. And from there's going to be 6 waves like that. And like I said, whenever you cast a spell and they show up, there's a couple of hours of downtime. So we can do both these two sources of getting some equipment by, you know, casting a spell, dealing with the Cowled Wizards, then crafting an item that is going to take 24 hours. We're going to rest also. We're going to rest by working hard at the forge, I guess. And then we can go out, kill some wizards, go back in, craft another item, go out, kill some wizards, and just repeat that cycle. There's going to be 6 waves of those Cowled Wizards, and why I say that they can be a source of some equipment, but not necessarily equipment, but some items. They basically, each wave there's going to be one of them that has a random high-level scroll on him. And especially in the last wave, which is kind of like a boss wave with a couple of more scrolls like that, over the course of these 6 waves, we are going to have a chance of getting some really nice high-level scrolls, especially that spell trigger that we are still on the lookout for, because that is, of course, like I said, it's only available in Shadows of Amn through random loot. We can buy it in Throne of Baal, but it would be nice to have spell trigger already. And this is basically going to be the best chance we can get at obtaining the spell trigger scroll. So we're going to get to that and hope we get that. And even if not, we're going to get some nice scrolls. And then once we have those scrolls, and then we do some purchases, we're going to do a scribing session, because now, even though our mages unlocked some higher levels of spells, we don't have, like for example for Sinashira, Spell Trap is a really nice spell, but we have some other options available to us as well. But we're not going to do that scribing session until we are prepared with some scrolls. And now we of course are going to rest by working hard, and I think I'm going to rearrange some of our spells here. These small heals are not going to be that useful. On rest we have the 2 rings of regeneration, we have that Ion Stone that regenerates, we have the big heal on Jaheira. They are not going to do that much, and we are going to focus more and more on some buffs and protections. We are eventually going to remove all of these small heals, I think, from Jaheira's selection. Also, Anomen got some additional spell slots. Now we can go for that Righteous Magic. And here at level 6, well, more Blade Barrier. I just can't resist. Also, we are going to get rid of that Deva. We're not going to make use of it just yet. We are going to memorize Storm of Vengeance for a little bit later. And also we're going to give Symbol Stun to Anomen and to Edwin, actually. Because this is going to be a good opportunity while fighting with the Cowled Wizards to showcase some Symbol Stun. Of course, compared to the Power Word Stun, for example, this has a very long casting time, whereas Power Word Stun has a casting time of 1. But Power Word Stun is a single target spell, whereas this one is AoE. However, this one is not party friendly, so we have to be kind of careful about that. And also another difference between Symbol and Power Word is that the symbols allow a saving throw, although with a hefty penalty here, with that -4 penalty, they can be pretty successful. Whereas, of course, the Power Word Stun has no save attached to it, but there is an HP requirement. Whenever something has 90 hit points or more, it's going to be ineffective. But here with the Cowled Wizards, they are just humans, human mages. They are not going to be innately immune to stun or anything, and we might get some nice results with Symbol Stun. So I think that's going to be the final choice for Anomen here. Also, Imoen got some more spells on her. I think we should slowly get into the habit of memorizing some more improved hastes, but maybe let's wait on that for just a little bit longer. We are going to set up a spell sequencer, and also that reminds me that we are going to need to set up a triple Ice Storm, I think, just for a little bit of a flavor, and we are going to have some use out of it, I think, in these fights against the Cowled Wizards. And here at level 7, let's just go for some more fireballs, and we're going to get that Abidalzim's Horrid Wilting. And here I think we're going to get some more Symbol Stuns on Edwin. Also, Senashira got that high level ability, another level 6 spell slot, and I think we might have, for now, True Sight on her. And also what I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit is the difference between Minor Globe and Globe of Invulnerability, and how SCS kind of affects that. Because normally in the unmodded game, Globe of Invulnerability is not really worth it that much, because it's 2 levels higher than Minor Globe, which is only a level 4 spell. And all it does compared to Minor Globe is give you a protection against 1 more spell level, because Minor Globe protects us from spell levels 1 to 3, and Globe also protects us from level 4. So that includes some spells like, Emotion Hopelessness or Confusion, but generally it's not really that worth it to go up to level 6 just to have a protection from 1 more level of spells. But in SCS, where the spell protections and anti-magic spells are way more important, Globe of Invulnerability actually is very precious, a very good spell to memorize, and I think I'm going to keep it for most of the time on Senashira, because this makes us immune to Spell Thrust. Because Spell Thrust is this anti-magic spell that can dispel multiple protection spells, and very important ones at that, because it can dispel spell immunities, and also Minor Globe, and minor spell deflection, minor spell turning. So if you are susceptible to Spell Thrust, and it can also consume Spell Shield, of course. This is a very cheap way of getting rid of a mage's Spell Shield. So being immune to Spell Thrust makes you way more difficult to dispel, because the opponent mages are not going to have this spell that can dispel multiple things off of you at their disposal, and they're going to have to rely on spells like Secret Word and the higher level ones to dispel like one protection at a time, and they're not going to be able to get rid of your spell shield that easily. So in SCS, Globe of Invulnerability for that particular reason is actually very nice to have. But anyway, we can have another source of true seeing here, and finally we are going to talk to Cromwell and craft ourselves some stuff. So of course now we can talk to him. And we have way more components now. We are going to be able to craft quite a few items, and here his eyes are going to open wide and have a spark in them, because he sees that we have all of the components here. You have a Hammer of Thunderbolts, Gauntlets of Ogre Power, a Girdle of Frost Giant Strength, and a scroll with the Thunderhammer's true name, Crom Faeyr. And I'm going to stop with my awful attempt at a dwarven accent, but that just took me over here when I was reading through this line, because finally we have all of the components to craft ourselves Crom Faeyr. There's a collection that would widen the eyes of the Soul Forger himself. I could create the Crom Faeyr for you, friend, if you have the interest, of course. So that involves 10,000 gold and a day at the forge as a helper, so of course we're going to go for it. And as you can see, Senashira being hard at work right there, helping in the creation of Crom Faeyr. And this is going to be the last thing we do in this episode, because I see we are over time. In the next episode we're going to devote to disposing of the Cowled Wizards and crafting some more items, but here I just want to take a moment for us to witness the glory of Crom Faeyr and talk a little bit about what we gain and what we lose, because we of course had to give up quite a few items that we were actively using on our other characters. So the Gauntlets of Ogre Power, now Jaheira has 15 strength, and that 21 strength belt on Kruin, so she doesn't have that strength increase anymore. And this doesn't matter on Kruin too much, because she has very good natural strength. And on Kruin and on Jaheira, we are going to do a little switcheroo of the belts with Anomen and Jaheira. She is going to get that 19 strength belt again, and Anomen has a decent strength of his own, and of course he's a cleric, so he has plenty of self-buffing spells that are going to bring his strength much higher than that. So he doesn't really need a permanent strength increase in the form of a belt that much. So you could see that normally in some circumstances your party strength can diminish by losing all of these items quite a bit, but in our case that wasn't really a thing when it comes to us. And now Senashira is going to get a phenomenal upgrade, her ultimate weapon, Crom Faeyr. So it's let's examine all that it can do for us. So it's a +5 enchanted weapon, first of all, so she is not going to have any problems when it comes to getting through with her damage to different creatures that are immune to lower enchanted weapons. She's not going to have to switch to like anything to just get through with her damage. Gets a +5 Thaco boost, and seemingly only a +3 physical damage bonus, but the base damage of a Warhammer here gets upgraded from 1d4, which is the standard for Warhammers normally, to 2d4. So now the base damage gets doubled essentially, and +3 on top of all that, and 5 electrical damage on each hit she will be able to deliver. On top of all that, it will grant her 25 strength that is going to give her further boosts to her Thaco and her damage, and on top of all that, it slays instantly stone golems, clay golems, ettins, and trolls. And there is no saving throws involved into that or any chance, it just does. It just does that. Whenever a hit connects, these types of creatures are going to instantly die. So this is just insane for Senashira. And let's take a look. From her 19 natural strength, she gets +3 bonus to Thaco and +7 to damage. And while having Ashidina equipped, she has a Thaco of 1, damage of 19 to 22. Now let's equip Crom Faeyr. Boom! -6 Thaco on her main hand, 27 to 33 damage on that Crom. Oh man, now we're getting somewhere, dude. Look at that, going from the 3 and 7 to 7 and 14. So basically, from going from 19 to 25 strength, she has gained 4 Thaco and 7 damage, man. Like, this is where it's at for Kensai mages, in my opinion. I really love having Crom Faeyr on Kensai mages to really offset their slightly lacking Thaco in the later stages of the game. You basically get Crom Faeyr precisely where you need it. So, whoa, yes, that's going to be great. And also, since now Jaheira has a glove slot open, we can give her the gloves that give her +1 Thaco. So she is going to still be fine with 19 strength and the gloves. Now Animan is going to have the belt of inertial barrier, and of course he has plenty of clerical pre-buffs available to him. And also, look at this cool glow of Crom Faeyr. Doesn't that look just awesome? So finally Senashira gets her upgrade. And this is where we're going to end the episode. I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one for some Cowled Wizard fights. So see you then.